Welcome back, everyone. Great to see so many of you. In this session, you'll understand the key parts that make a computer fast. Okay, let's start software. This is the most fundamental concept in computing. Think of it like a person. As you are a human being, as a person, the hardware is the body, the brain, the hands, the eyes. In fact, all the parts of the body that you can see and touch. You can actually physically touch my body or your own body, and you can also touch someone else. But the software is the mind, the thoughts, the skills, the personality of that person that you cannot touch. So you can't touch someone's thoughts, you can't touch someone's personality, but it's what that makes the body to do whatever it does. So therefore, a hardware is the machine itself and its connected devices, such as the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, the scanner, the printer, etc. Now, the software on its own part is a set of instructions that allow the computer to perform designated tasks. Let's take, for example, your phone is the hardware. Now, your phone is useless without the operating system that powers it. Also, a mobile software is useless without a computer or a device that can run it. So the software and the hardware work hand in hand, just like a human being. A human being without a soul is dead. A soul without a body is a spirit. So both of them must work hand in hand if you want to have a computer that is working to work. You need the hardware and you need the software for the system to work properly. You can get a comprehensive view of the components of a computer system in the link that I will provide in the description below. Okay, let's look at the three most important parts that determine a computer's performance, that determines how fast a computer is. So these three things are the things you are going to look out for when you want to buy a computer system. You check out to know these specifications depending on the kind of task you want the computer to run for you. The first thing we are looking at here is the CPU. The CPU is the computer's brain. It is the processing nerve of the computer system. A faster CPU means the computer can think. So what I mean here is that if a computer has a faster CPU, it means that it can work faster than a computer that have a less CPU, whose So it determines the thinking ability of the computer, or how fast the computer can work. The speed of a CPU is measured. The next item there is the RAM. The RAM is also called random access memory or short-term memory. Now I'm going to give you an illustration of how a RAM works and how it determines how fast a system can be. Let me illustrate like this. Assuming you have an office, or even in your house you have a table where you work from. Now the size of the table determines the number of things that can be on top of the table that you are going to work with. Let's take, for example, you have files, you have tools, and other things, maybe your laptop or desktop, all in the same table. Now if the table size is, let's say, about 2 by 2, a desk like a school desk, a secondary school desk, 2 by 2, it means that you might not have your laptop on the table and have some documents on the table at the same time. Some of them are going to be in the file cabinet where you can go and source for them if you need them. So the size of your table determines the space you have that you can keep certain tools and documents that you will work with immediately. Now this is how the RAM works. The size of the RAM determines the active workspace for the computer. When you open up an app, it enters into the memory for an active workspace. Now if this RAM is big enough, it can contain as many as. Whereas if the RAM is small, then it will contain filing cabinet, like I was saying before. If you cannot see it in the RAM, you see it in the storage. Okay, it's where you keep everything when you are not using it. Your photos, your documents, your games, your applications, etc. So when you are not using anything on your cabinet, you keep them there and they'll be there. Now I want to illustrate with this. When power goes off, things in the permanent storage does not go off, they are there. But let's take, for example, in your desk, suddenly the legs of your desk broke and everything on the desk fell down. They are no more there. What you're going to do is to pack all of them and put them in your file cabinet until you fix your desk. Then you will now bring them again and put them on the desk. So that's how light or power affects the RAM. When the power is off, information in the RAM is lost, but information is retained in the permanent storage. Now remember that the size of the permanent storage determines the size of the applications and files that you can be able to keep in your file cabinet. I hope you understood this clearly. If you still have questions or some confusion, you can put down that in the chat window at once. Now what we are going to do next is I'm going to explain to you how you will check these things, because what we are doing is practical. That's why we call it applied digital skills. It's completely practical. So I'm going to show you how you are going to check the size of your RAM, your storage, and the speed of your CPU. Okay, you can easily identify these components in any system by simply, what you do is you right click here you right click this computer. When you right click this computer, you select properties, and this whole thing will appear. Here is the size of the storage, that is the permanent storage, your hard disk drive or SSD. This is the size of the RAM. So here displays the size of the RAM. Actually, this is the graphics. Then this is the processor, the CPU. As you can see, CPU at 2.4 gigahertz. So this is the size of the CPU. So you can easily right click on this computer. If you are using older Windows, you will see my computer. Simply right click on my computer, then select properties from the context menu, and it displays this. Then you also see here installed RAM, in case you did not see it like this clearly like this. Then you see installed RAM, and you see the processor here and the processor speed. Okay, similarly you can also check that of your mobile phone, basically Android. Now to do that, you simply click on the setting. When you click on the setting and the setting open, you scroll down and get to where you see about phone. When you click there, you now see the properties here. You see the CPU core, you see the RAM size, you see the storage size. Now if this depends on the type of phone you are using, you can also click on settings. If you did not see about phone, you will see system, then you now click on device info. So that's how you check for this on your computer or phone. I believe you can easily do that at any point in time. You can even start checking that of yours. If you are using a computer, you can check it now. If you are using a phone, you can check it now or immediately after this training. Okay, we are talking about the permanent storage, and we saw HDD and SSD, which you always see particularly at all times. Now let's look at each of them and how they work. Now HDD stands for hard disk drive. It is an older storage technology that operates like a library where a robotic arm has to go find the right book on the shelf. Now, in the olden days, we used to have this turntable stuff. When you want to play music, those that have it, those are the rich men then that can be able to buy that. They have this big CD. So you place it there, then you now put the arm of that turntable, and then you place it on the CD, and the thing will begin to rotate. Now this is how the hard disk drive is constructed. So the arm will begin to spin, searching for the sectors in that disk to be able to identify the particular file you are looking for. Now this makes it slower, and also it makes noise. By that rotation, it actually makes noise. However, it is quite cheaper compared to SSD. Then SSD stands for solid state drive, which is a modern technology that uses flash memory, which is also a modern technology. Now, SSD SSD does not have an arm or doesn't search with an arm. It uses the flash memory to search, and it works like a library where you just think of a book and it appears in your hand. Just magical. You think of it, it appears instantly. Now this makes it a huge performance difference from the HDD. So systems that use SSD are far more faster than systems that use HDD because of this particular technology. Think about it, you have it. So a computer with an SSD will start up in seconds, while a computer with HDD might take up to a minute or more to start. Now, for us to drive home this lesson, I want to give us a small poll so that we will be able to check our knowledge. Okay, I'm going to ask us this question, a very simple question, and you are going to answer in the chat window. Just type the answer in the chat window. Now the question is, does your main computer use an HDD or an SSD? Does your main computer use an HDD or an SSD? Now, you might be using a phone, or you don't have a laptop or a desktop. Assuming you have one, I will want you to check to be able to identify the kind of storage it is using. Now you are going to answer in the chat window A for SSD, B for HDD, and C for I'm not sure. Now if you are not sure, that's why you are here. It's okay now, you are not sure. But if you are sure, you can put it there. Before we move up to the next slide, here we have HDD usually comes in sizes. That's a clue that you use to check. Maybe after this class, HDD usually comes in sizes of 250 or 320, 500 GB, and up to 1 TB and 222 TB, 22 terabytes. While SSD usually comes in sizes of 128, 256 GB, 512 GB, 1 TB, and up to 8 terabytes of sizes. If you can be able to check these sizes, but mind you, you might not really see 250 or 500. You might see something close to it if you are looking for it based on the sizes. Okay, while we keep on waiting for your answers, we'll still continue. Now I'm going to teach you how to, because this is also a practical, I'm going to teach you how you are going to be able to identify which kind of storage you have. Now the first way to identify which kind of storage you have is by listening carefully to your system units. Now to identify if you have HDD or SSD, listen carefully to your system unit. When you put your ear carefully and you hear a noise that spins, a spinning noise or a clicking noise, then you understand the fact that you are using a HDD. That is, if you hear noises, your system is likely using that traditional HDD, the clicking noise or the spinning noise. Most times you don't even need to put your ear straight in the system unit, you just hear the noise. But SSD is completely silent. It does not make noise. It's just fast when you boot the system. No noise, no clicking noise, no spinning noise. So when you hear a noise, you know you are using HDD. If you did not hear a noise, you know you are using SSD. Now this is the first way you can use to identify whether you are using HDD or SSD. Now, having known that, I want you to put right in the chat window if you are using SSD or HDD right now. I'm giving you 10 seconds to do that before we move to the next slide. Okay, now I'm going to also teach you how to get I'm going to teach you how to check if you are using HDD or SSD, the direct method. Now this one you are not gazing by listening, you are just going to do it practical. Now you are going to go to your desktop. I hope you know where the taskbar is. Now this is the taskbar, all these things here, the icons in the taskbar. Make sure you do not click on the icon in the taskbar. Just get an empty space in the taskbar somewhere like here, which is an empty space. I don't know if you are seeing what I'm saying, showing you. Okay, this is the taskbar. All here is the taskbar. Now look for an empty space. Don't click where an icon is already. Just look for an empty space in the taskbar. Then you will right click that empty space, or simply press Control Shift and Escape key. You press down the Control key, you hold it there, you press down the Shift key, you hold it, then you press the Escape key. Then the task manager will appear. Then the task manager will appear. So you right click here, the task manager will appear. You click on it. Then when this task manager window shows up, you click on performance. Under this performance, you see CPU, you see memory, you see disk 0. So you select disk 0. Now already in the disk 0, you already see SSD here RAID. But when you click on it, you see all the properties of the SSD here. So you are seeing SSD RAID, you are seeing the size, and so on and so forth. So that's clinically how to check if you have an SSD or a HDD. Practical. If there is any confusion there, we want you to also signify in the chat window. Meanwhile, you see that this 0 here has C and D. Now this is because my storage is partitioned into 2. So I have the C drive and the D drive. You can as well have only C drive if your hard disk is not partitioned. So you have only C drive. Okay, so that's it. So whichever one you have, whether the C or the D, all it means that you have already known you are using SSD or HDD. Okay, we are going to look at input and output devices. Now these are the things you should have already known. Most of us already know these. Input devices are tools that allow you to send data or commands into a computer system. That's how you communicate with the computer. Now we have some of the examples as the keyboard, the mouse, the webcam, the microphone. And of course, you know that the keyboard is used for typing. So you type things inside the computer and the computer receives them. The mouse is used for pointing and clicking. The webcam is used for capturing, that is for image capturing and video recording. And the microphone is used for sound recording. As I am speaking with you right now, I'm using the microphone to send sound into the computer, and it gives you the output the other side. And the output devices are a way of getting out data from the computer. So the output devices is a way we receive information from the computer. They show you the results of the computer processing. So when the computer processes the input you send into it, it gives you an output. For example, we have the monitor, which of course you know the monitor is a display that displays information to you directly immediately. As you are typing, you are seeing it on the monitor. Then we have the printer, which helps us to produce hard copy of the results or the information the computer is giving us. Then we have the speakers, which you are actually using right now. You might be using the speakers or the headphones to listen to what I'm saying. So the speakers give you the audio output. As I am using the microphone to send in the audio input, the speaker gives you the audio output. Okay, now in simple terms, input is how you talk to the computer. Just get that. Input is how you talk to the computer, and output is how the computer talks back to you. So the flow is you put into the computer and the computer gives you back. So that's the input and the output devices. Okay. All right. We are going to do a simple game right now, just a game to charge us up. If we are bored, we are going to be charged up with this little game. I'm going to give you 3 devices. I'm going to name 3 devices one by one. For each device, I want you to type I if you think it's an input device, or you type an O if you think it's an output device. Now, if you are ready, I'm going to call them out. You use the chat window to type in this. Now, if you are watching later, you are going to type in your answers in the comment section. Now, because if you are here right now and you are going to type in this, what you are going to do is, if I call the device, you just type an I or an O. But if you are watching later, what you do is you type in each of the item and specify what device they are. Now the first one is scanner. Is a scanner an input device or an output device? So I want you to type I if it's an input device, then you type O if it's an output device right now. So if you're watching later, you type scanner output or scanner input. Okay, then the next one is projector. Is a projector an input device or an output device? I want you to put it there. Projector input or projector output. Then thirdly, touch screen. Touch screen. If you have a touch screen system or touch screen, of course your phone is touch screen, so you'll be able to tell me, is it an input device or an output device? Okay, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to do that right now. If you have not done it, let me know if scanner is an input device or an output device. Is projector an input device or an output device? What about touch screen? touchscreen monitor. Your laptop is touchscreen. Because my friend last week was telling me to help him get a X360 laptop, which is a touchscreen foldable laptop. So is it an input device or an output device? Okay, we have 10 seconds to leave. Of course, if you are watching later, you use the comments to give us the answers. Good. Okay, here are the answers. A scanner is an input device. You see the scanner here, the flatbed scanner. We use it to send in physical documents into the computer. You have your picture, you scan it into the computer. So that's an input device because it sends data into the computer. Then we have the projector, which is an output device. Some of us that watch match also know that when you go to a match center, that they usually use projector to make the screen very big. So projector gives you an output. So it's an output device. Then we have the touch screen. Here now, the touch screen is both an input and an output device. Take a look at your phone. When you click on something, it also gives you the response on the screen. It doesn't give you the response somewhere else. It's still on the screen. So that qualifies it to be both an input device and an output device. Okay, let's look at the mouse. The mouse is a very important device or a very important input device that you use, whether you are using your laptop or you are using your desktop. And of course, your fingers, if you are using touch screen like your phone, so that's your finger becomes both the mouse and the keyboard. Also, you use it to do the keyboard things. So the mouse has two main buttons, the left and the right. The left button is primarily used for clicking and dragging. The left mouse button is primarily used for clicking and dragging. Just get it in case you don't know. Now, if you have a laptop, you notice that there are two buttons there where the mouse pad is. So even though you can click within the space where you move the mouse, even though you can click, you still have the buttons that allows you to click the left mouse click and the right mouse click. So you can use the mouse to do clicking by selecting and clicking and dragging too. Okay, so these are the things you can do with the mouse. While the right mouse button opens a context menu, giving you extra options related to the item you've selected. So if you are looking at the right mouse, what it does is when you click on it, you get options. You get options like this. You get options. So it gives you a context menu whereby you get options where you are going to select. Then when you get to the option, you now use the left mouse button to select that option. So that's why the left mouse button is used for clicking and selecting. And you can also click and hold it to drag item on the desktop. Now we're going to look at how you can use the mouse to do these things that I talked about. Okay, let's illustrate how the mouse works. Okay, first of all, we are going to move our pointer to an item on the desktop. Okay, for example, you can use the recycle bin, or here I use Dell. So as I click on Dell, you notice that it's selected now. It's selected. Now I click on recycle bin, is also selected, but you are not seeing it very clearly, but here it's selected. Now when I double click on it, it opens. Now double clicking means click click, not click click. So you double click by click click, then it opens that particular item. That's how you open with double clicking. Click click. Then you can as well drag. So when you click, you hold the click and you drag. Don't just click and release. Click, then hold what you clicked on and you drag. That is how you click and drag. So you want to change the position of an item on the desktop, you click, hold, and drag. You see, I've moved the dial icon from here down to this place. So you click and you drag. That is how you do that. Then the next one is to right click. So when you right click, you actually get a context menu here. As you can see here, you have open, you have. So when you want to open, if you cannot do double clicking, it's easy for you to right click and select open from the context menu, and the item opens. It's as simple as that. So whether you are trying to open a folder, or you are trying to open an app or a file, you all just do is simply right click on it if you can't do double clicking. So you right click on it and that particular file opens. So when you right click, you see other things. You have different things there that you can select from. You can see copy, you can see cut, you can see delete, you can see rename, and so many of them. You can see properties, just like as we selected in that particular item. So if you don't know what you want to do with any icon that you see on the desktop anywhere on your system, the simplest thing to do is to right click. When you right click, you see that context menu. Then from that context menu, you can now select one of those items, and you know that's what you are going to do with that item. I believe you understood exactly how to use the mouse. Now if you have any question, you use the chat window to drop your questions, or you use the comment section if you are watching later to drop your questions, and we do justice to answer you in good time. Okay, now the last part of our lesson today is going to focus on the keyboard and how to work with the keyboard essential shortcuts. Now these are shortcuts that you need to know. I didn't say you need to cram. You need to know. It should be within your fingertips if you are working with a system in this digital age, because it's going to save you a hell lot of time. It's going to save you a hell lot of time when you begin to use them. Now we have things like the Control C, the Control X, the Control V, the Control Z, the Control S. Now there are so many other shortcuts that you are going to use when you start working with different apps, but these ones, you really need to know them. They have to be within your fingertips if you are really working in this digital age. Now what do we mean by Control plus C? What we mean here is that you press the control key, you don't release it. As you are holding the control key, you press a C. So that is Control C. Now Control X means you press and hold down the control key and you press an X key. Now that's how you do it for Control V, for Control Z, and for Control S. You press and hold down the control key, then you press the corresponding key, and then you now release both of them. So in fact, the moment you press that, the action is already taken. Okay, now Control C is used for copying. So when you use Control C, actually copies an item. You first of all have to highlight that item, then you now copy it, while Control X is used for cut. When you press Control X, it cuts the item. What it means by cutting is that, okay, the difference between copy and cut is that copy leaves a copy of that item there, while cut removes the copy of that item. So you are removing that copy, the item, from that location you cut it, then you are moving it to another location. So sometimes you use cut and sometimes you use move. So move an item from a particular location to another location. That you copy an item, meaning that you have a duplicate of that item that you are moving to another location. But the two of them, when you take that action, you have to paste it somewhere. So when you copy, it's placed on the clipboard waiting for you to paste it. When you cut, it's placed on the clipboard waiting for you to paste it. Now the good thing is that if you did not paste it and you maybe shut down the system, the cut is reversed. So don't be afraid that it will be lost, then the cut will be reversed. So you can still go back and do the same action again. So the Control V is used to paste, so to place it where you want it to be. Then Control Z is an undo action. Undo means I don't want to do this thing again. Redo it. That is, take me back to where I was. I don't want again. That's what undo means. I don't want again. Take me back. But undo does one step at a time. So when you press Control Z, let me assume you deleted an item mistakenly, then you press Control plus Z, it will the item that was deleted will be reversed immediately. So it reverses an action that you take. Then Control S is used to save. Now very, very important, because when you are working with on your system, you will definitely need to save a lot of times, because like we said, the RAM is volatile. So if you are working with a desktop that does not have a UPS, then it means that once the light goes off, everything that you did not save is lost. So that's it. Though modern technology have made it possible that Microsoft Office documents can recover based on a particular time, so you save some part of it in the storage device. Okay, now we are going to illustrate how you do this. You work with all these shortcuts so that you'll be able to master it, because this is practical. It's not just theory, just talking, but you are going to practice it right now on how to work with the copy, cut, paste, and the undo and save here now. Now, if you are working with a Mac operating system, then you know you will not be seeing control. What you see is command. So you just replace the control with the command, and command plus C, command plus X, and etc. Okay. Okay, our action here is going to be that we are going to open an app, simple app, a notepad. We open a notepad, then in that notepad we are going to type in something, say your name, then you copy it, paste it somewhere else. So that's what we are going to really do here now. Okay, now first of all, you're going to open a notepad, click the start, then select the notepad. If you didn't see a notepad there, it's very simple. Just click the start, then type in search for notepad. Search for notepad. If you're using an older system, you see search there in the start, then you search for notepad. Then when you see notepad, you select it. So the moment you select the notepad appears. The notepad opens up. Okay, once it opens up, okay, then what you are going to do here is to type your name. I typed my name here, Mr. Kelechi Agomo. Okay, then you can also type your name, Chidube Inkiru, anything that is your name. Then the next thing you do is to copy. So to copy, you use the mouse pointer, click and drag over the thing you type. So, or you can just place the cursor there, hold the shift key on the keyboard and use the right arrow button to move it. Then it will highlight. After highlighting, you copy, you press Ctrl C. Now I'm just showing you from the edit, you can copy there. Then Ctrl C, then click and move down by pressing enter. Then you now press Ctrl V to paste. Now we have made a copy of this name here, then, and we have copied it and pasted it. Then we have made a copy. That's why you are seeing two copies of the name. Okay, the next thing we are going to do is to cut this name. Remember, I did not click. I'm just showing you that you can use the edit, but I did not use it at all. What I'm using is the keyboard shortcut. So now highlight this name again. Now press Ctrl X. When you press Ctrl X, it's cut. That's it. Now you can actually do that from the edit, but here you see it's not highlighted because there's no item selected. So I've already cut it. So having cut it, now I'm going to press the enter, then press Ctrl V to paste it here. Now the Ctrl V has pasted it here again. So you see, when you cut, you move the item from the previous place to another location, but when you copy, you make a duplicate of what you did. Okay, now we are going to illustrate how to use the undo key, which is the Ctrl plus Z. Now this is very, very phenomenal. I'm just typing something, I'm following up with the applied digital skills. Just type anything you want to type. Just assume that you made a mistake, then you just undo it. Now I'm going to highlight this training and I will delete it. Now let's assume I deleted it mistakenly, then I press Ctrl Z and the thing comes back. That is how it works. So when you make a mistake or do something you don't even understand how it happened, then you can use Ctrl Z to always recall it back. Now in Microsoft Office, you see there are steps of undo, which you will be able to use to undo different actions step by step to recall something that you don't want again. Okay, so now that we have done that, the next thing is to use the Ctrl S. Okay, then we save. Okay, so you just need to type a name here and you click save, and that's it. Now this is because you are saving it for the first time. Now if you've already saved this thing, all you need to do is to press Ctrl S and nothing will appear and it's done. So you can also do this from the file menu and you press Ctrl S. Okay, so that's it. Ctrl C for copy, Ctrl X for cut, Ctrl V for paste, Ctrl Z for undo, and Ctrl S for save. If you have any question, feel free to get it, put it down in the chat. And if you're following, just say I'm following in the chat. If you are lagging behind, just say I'm not following in the chat, and we will have to take it up from there. Wow, fantastic. I'm going to give us a homework that we are going to do after this class, because the end of we have almost come to the end of this session, and you have done marvelously well. I love it. We've taken a closer look under the hood and we've got hands-on with some essential skills. If you have any questions about the CPU, the RAM, the storage, or those handy shortcuts, just feel free to type them in the chat or leave a comment if you are watching later. Now here's your first homework or your first assignment, because you keep learning. You don't just stop learning after here. Okay, it's very simple and fun. Just take a picture of your device and identify 3 parts on it. If you're using a phone, take a picture, identify 3 parts on it. If you're using a laptop, take a picture, identify 3 parts on it. If you're using a desktop, take a picture of it and identify 3 parts of it. This exercise will help reinforce what we've learned. Then you can share it in the community group, in our WhatsApp group. Some of you that are in the WhatsApp group, just upload it in the WhatsApp group. If you are not in the WhatsApp group, all you need to do is to just type in your number in the chats or in the comment section and type in your name. Then I will do the needful to add you to the WhatsApp group so that you upload your pictures and we'll see what you have done, if you actually got everything correctly. Then the next in the assignment is for you to try to identify if your system has a HDD or an SSD. Now this is optional, but you need to do that so that if you can't do it or you've forgotten how to do it, you can ask the question also in that place. Wow, that's it. Thank you all for your incredible participation today. In our next session, we'll get into file management, how to organize your digital life so you can always find what you need at any single time. I would love to see you on Wednesday next week at 17:00 5 p.m. Nigerian time. Don't ever miss it.